we come to the second keynote of the day. So our speaker, Suthen, is an amazing technologist. He's the CTO of Grab, Southeast Asia's leading super app, and he has not only led like the large-scale technology team of Grab that is now, but he has also been there in the early days to write a lot of the code that's there. So he has been like as part of the first 10, 20 people to really write big parts of what Grab has become now. And he's been like a fantastic leader, a fantastic technologist, like building something up from nothing to the scale of tens of millions of users. And he's going to talk about creating impact at scale in Southeast Asia, the Superapp way. Please all give a very, very warm welcome to Suthen Thomas. Thanks, bro.
So, good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me here today. It's my first time in Romania. It's also my first time in Cluj, therefore, and I'm meeting a lot of you for the first time. A lot of firsts for me. It's also my first time having a public speaking event since the pandemic ended. In fact, I think it might actually be my first external public speaking event since I've become the CTO at Grab. So, thank you again for giving me all a chance to talk to you about Grab. So, before we dive into the presentation, I just wanted to have a bit of audience participation here. Could I see a show of hands if you've been to Southeast Asia before? All right. So maybe about 10, 20% of the audience. So for a lot of you, this is a new thing. That's great because we're going to take a quick flight to Southeast Asia. I'm going to introduce you to the region. Then I'm going to talk to you about the work Grab does and how we do it. So by the end of this presentation, what I hope to give all of you is firstly, an understanding of Southeast Asia and how it's a region brimming with possibilities and potential. Secondly, to talk to you about our Superapp strategy and how it's unique in helping us solve the problems. Our three super apps help us solve the problems of our consumers, drivers, and merchant partners in Southeast Asia. And finally, the tech philosophy that underpins that super app and how we've built it. So let's talk about Southeast Asia, where I'm from. So Grab has been focused on Southeast Asia since our founding. We are native to Southeast Asia. And it's not only home for us, it's a place of immense potential. Some might argue it's going to be the next China. So Southeast Asia has about 660 million people. That's about the same size as Europe, maybe shy about 100 million, and twice the size of the United States. It's also a very young demographic. Almost half the population is under 30. Unfortunately, I am not in that half. And finally, smartphone penetration rates are really high, at about 68%. For many people in Southeast Asia, the smartphone is their first personal computer. And that's why it's not surprising that Southeast Asians spend about 8 hours a day online, which is significantly higher than the global average of about 6.8 hours a day. It's also in the early stages of digital transformation, and so there are plenty of opportunities. Southeast Asia is kind of where China was 5 years ago, or the US as well. So there are plenty of opportunities in the space of online food delivery. Southeast Asia has about 12% penetration versus 21% in China, and even in on-demand mobility, so ride-hailing, where Southeast Asia is at about 3% versus 12% in China. Southeast Asia is basically at the start of a wave of digitization, and this has been accelerated by COVID. And Grab has positioned itself to be the enabler for millions of Southeast Asians to catch this wave. So let's talk about the people in Southeast Asia that Grab aims to serve. Grab's mission is to drive Southeast Asia forward by creating economic empowerment for everyone. So let's talk about the people we want to create economic empowerment for. Meet Muhammad Karim and Siti Noor Aisha. They're the owners of the Tandoori City House in Malaysia. This is an Indian food restaurant in Malaysia. Now, Karim and Siti were struggling with their business because they had a restaurant, but the location didn't have a lot of foot traffic. So a lot of people weren't coming into the restaurant because no one was in the area. This eventually pushed them to go online. Now, the thing about Siti and Karim is they had never owned a computer before, and they had limited internet literacy. They weren't really folks who were part of the digital generation. So they took the plunge, right? They got themselves a second-hand tablet, and with guidance from the Grab food team, they got online. They're doing really well now. So they solved the footfall problem because with online delivery, the tables that your restaurant serves now extend out to a several kilometer radius around your restaurant. And they solved that problem. But this was especially critical during the pandemic period when people couldn't actually walk into the restaurant because of movement control orders and because of restrictions. And so they were able to deliver and continue their business even through that time. Karim's and Siti's story is one that we hope to replicate for millions of people across Southeast Asia. In their case, merchants like them who participated in the program that they participated in saw a 30% uplift on average of their revenues. This is the type of work that inspires all of us to show up for work in the morning at Grab. The ability to make an impact that's very tangible in the day-to-day lives of our fellow Southeast Asians. So let me talk a bit about how we achieve it. As I said earlier, Southeast Asia is brimming with potential, but it's also not a singular region. It's not a single country. It's several countries. And many countries have diverse cultures and languages, very often within the country itself. And so we needed, in the technology team, to answer this question. How can technology enable us to best serve and delight this hyper-diverse user base? And our experience has shown that our Superapp approach, which is hyper-localized and offers personalized experiences to users, is what our users want and need for their day-to-day needs. So what is the Grab Superapp? Well, firstly, it's actually 3 Superapps. And each of them is a one-stop shop serving the multiple needs of our users, whether it be consumers, driver partners, or merchant partners. And together, these apps work in tandem to create a thriving marketplace for on-demand services. The Grab Consumer Superapp actually started as a mobility marketplace. So just a ride-hailing app that like many of you might be familiar with here with Bolt or Uber. And over time, it evolved into a deliveries application as well as an application that offers financial services. We wanted to become the one-stop shop for all your on-demand daily needs. And having multiple services in the Superapp is powerful because the more services that users use, the greater their utilization of the application and their engagement and retention rates. But also, it means we get to be embedded in bigger parts of their day-to-day lives. We get to be weaved into their stories and their lives as they navigate Southeast Asia. And as of 2021, over half of our MTUs actually use multiple services. So they use 2 services or 3 services every month. Now let's talk about our driver partner platform. We aim to provide a resilient income platform for our driver partners while empowering them with the flexibility and freedom to determine when, where, and what type of work they do. And our driver Superapp means that the same driver can pick up parcels, deliver food, or transport passengers. One thing a lot of folks here may not be familiar with is the concept of a motorcycle taxi. You see, in cities like Bangkok or Jakarta or Ho Chi Minh, traffic is so bad that the only way to get around quickly enough is to ride from point A to point B on the back of a motorcycle. So we have motorcycle taxis. But these same driver partners who drive motorcycle taxis also can transport food and people. So 66% of our two-wheel drivers are actually transporting people, delivering parcels, and delivering food, all on the same application, all dispatched by the same system. It's no surprise, therefore, that the more they use the Grab ecosystem, the more money they earn, because we're giving them more and more income opportunities. And the informal economy in Southeast Asia is very different from what all of you might be familiar with either in the United States or in Europe. You see, our platform is a very powerful income generation tool for our drivers. 46% of our driver partners did not earn an income prior to joining Grab. This means that often we are a lifeline to these individuals who are struggling to make ends meet. We're also are also often their first introduction to financial inclusion. This is whether they're opening their first bank and savings accounts, or potentially taking a working capital loan from us, or also getting micro-insurance products like per-trip insurance, because that's the income that they can afford. Finally, let's talk about our merchant application. Similar to our driver application, it was an evolution. It started off as a simple application for food delivery, but over time, we have built in additional capabilities from analytics, marketing services, payments, and loans in order to make it the one-stop shop to grow their business. This is a key part of our effort, as you heard earlier with Karim and Citi, to digitize traditional businesses. 33% of the merchants who are on the Grab food platform today said they came online for the first time with Grab. And amongst Grab food merchants, almost half of them, about 43%, use more than 3 services, including taking working capital loans from Grab. The end state of how we seek to build our Superapp is to really offer tailored and personalized experiences to each of our user bases. As you can see, our apps are built to work for our customers and meet their needs, and do it all in one place. This personalization isn't just at the level of better recommendations, which restaurant you might like and so on, but extends all the way down to which services you might try out depending on where you're at, what type of advertising you might see in the application, and the services we choose to direct to you in terms of the merchant services like loans and so on, because we know your revenue stream might indicate you might need some capital. We run hundreds of experiments, each half. And each of them leads to a compounding effect of improving our user experience and further fueling our growth. I'll be sharing a few more examples of our hyperlocal philosophy in a bit when we discuss our tech philosophy. But before that, summarizing our Superapp strategy. Our Superapp product strategy, experience, and ecosystem enables all our users to access all our services through a single application. We can launch a new vertical, a new use case, without needing our users to install a new application. They can wake up one morning and get it for free when we launch it. This, in turn, allows them to seamlessly transact on new use cases, which in turn generates more income opportunities for our driver and merchant partners. This is why we have such a strong conviction in this strategy. Now, let me get into a bit of detail about how this works. And this is the bit more technical part because this is the coding track. Behind the scenes, we run about 800 plus microservices to make sure our Superapp works. These handle everything from authentication to fulfillment and dispatch, to also components like rendering the experience on the home screen when you see it. Now, because a lot of these services share common needs, and our products, we want to make sure we have standardization, we have a platform layer beneath that provides identity and account management, stream processing, machine learning, and also managed infrastructure. The goal here is to take the overhead off our service teams in terms of bootstrapping basic components so they can focus on what our customers need. We also make sure that we have these components in place in order to provide standardized security, stability, and quality capabilities by design out of the box. This is an overview of our stack, and there's a lot of stuff on that slide. But it's broadly categorized into these spaces, and despite the apparent diversity, we've actually chosen each of these platforms really carefully in order to maximize our expertise, but also meet the needs of our business environment. Grab is largely centralized in terms of its deployment in one region, but we do have on-prem deployments in-country due to local regulatory needs, and that's where some of these other tools come in as well. Finally, let's talk about the engineering principles of working at Grab. Firstly, we tell everyone in Grab, in engineering, to embrace chaos and accept ambiguity. Southeast Asia is a dynamic and ever-changing region, which means things can change really quickly, and if we hope to be relevant to our consumers, drivers, and merchant partners, we need to meet that change when it happens. And so we iterate quickly. We are ready to put planned work on hold at any time in order to focus on urgent issues that are relevant to our users. Grab Mart, for example, our product in which we do grocery delivery, was built in 2 months using the Grab food stack. Because at the time of COVID, as cities went under lockdown, customers were either unable to go out and buy groceries or, due to their own concerns for their health and safety, didn't want to go out. And we were able to provide a product that was relevant to them in the time they needed it. Even more impressive, in Vietnam, when the local governments passed rules that limited the areas in which drivers could go, you had to be registered before you could move from one area to another. Grab, in a matter of days after the legislation was introduced the ability for drivers to scan QR codes to indicate that they were eligible for an area or not. We also have a lot of change, and we want to move fast, and sometimes, honestly, things do break, but we don't want them to break for everyone. And so we reduce the blast radius of our deployments. We use canaries in our deployment pipeline to ensure that a service, when it's deployed, is only on a fraction of the fleet. And also, all our rollouts are progressive. So it means at any given time, only a proportion of our users, leading up to 100%, are getting a new experience. And finally, we have a lot of redundancy in our systems. We encourage people to assume that their dependencies may fail and build fallbacks against it. But at the same time, as we look at service call chains, we say, keep your critical path as lean as possible. Have as few dependencies as possible that you need to make your service work. Finally, in the same vein, we encourage people to own their dependencies. We don't have the attitude where your job is done when you're working in your own space, but to be aware of the customer experience at the end. Everyone is responsible or playing a part in producing that customer experience, and so it's on you to be aware of where working inside your box, but solving for the problem outside of the whole box. Finally, as we say, expect the unexpected. You need to gracefully degrade if your cloud components go under you. An SLA coming from a cloud provider might not be good enough for us to meet the needs of our customers. And we need to expect for failovers to happen in hardware or in databases, and we need to be resilient against those changes. Finally, let me talk about technology and how it's a means to an end. And how do we ensure that in combination with our Superapp strategy, we have a tech philosophy that allows us to best serve our users? And our tech philosophy guides our approach here. What is it? Firstly, the first pillar is to always remember our mission is to help people access better lives. Secondly, we always look at hyper-local solutions that scale. And I know this is a bit paradoxical, so I'll talk about it in a second. And finally, we believe in Kaizen, and specifically asking our teams to go to the ground. This is not an abstract concept or a data structure problem or algorithm problem. These are real people with real livelihoods are impacted by the work we do every day. Go and meet them, live in their shoes, and look for constant improvement through practical solutions. Let's talk about helping people access better lives. The first part of our technology strategy is to remember that we're using technology to help people access better lives. I'm a technologist. The people who work around me, including Philip, are technologists. It's really cool to talk about technology, right? It's really exciting. The latest framework, the latest languages, the latest techniques. That stuff, we can get off on it all day, right? But we remember at Grab that technology is a means to an end. It's not an end in of itself. It's in service of our customers and improving their livelihood. And part of this is also recognizing that sometimes things that might be complicated from a technology perspective are relevant to our markets, including having different experiences in every market. Our app looks different in Indonesia and in Cambodia, and there are different services there. The reason for this is because we recognize that as we help people access better lives, better means different things for different people in different places. And so we want to build products that scale regionally, yet are flexible enough to be optimized locally, sometimes down to individual districts in our 400+ cities. Secondly, we build hyperlocal solutions at scale. And here's a case study of what it means to build a platform for that. Welcome to Jakarta, a city that is as large as some countries in Europe and in Southeast Asia. Tens of millions of people crammed into a metropolitan area. As you can imagine, they have a big problem with congestion. So in order to limit to reduce that problem, the local government introduced rules called odd-even regulation. Simply put, what that means is if your number plate ends with an odd number and it's an odd number date of the month, you can drive on specified roads at that day. If your number plate ends with an even number and it's an even number date of the month, you can drive on that road. If those conditions aren't satisfied, you can't use that road. You can imagine that for for drivers and for passengers, this can result in a real challenge in terms of allocating a driver who will get the passenger to their destination as soon as possible. I actually experienced this firsthand before we built this feature, where I got a driver allocated on the wrong day. It was Valentine's Day, so I remember the day, 14th of February, and I got an odd-numbered driver, and I missed my flight because we had to take a 4-hour ride in a cab. 4 hours. I left at 4, the flight was at 8, I got to the airport at 8. So we had to solve this problem. And the way we did it was to actually build into our dispatch and allocation systems generalized rules to be able to capture these attributes of drivers. So we had driver frameworks, the attributes of the driver, including their number plate, and the ability to extract these attributes when we're determining allocation. At allocation, we prioritize drivers based on these qualities, these conditions, and decided whether a driver is eligible or ineligible for a certain ride. But we also needed to match these rules with the roads, because not every road had these rules imposed on them. And so we had to add to our map layer these attributes to the roads as well. What rules apply at what time? All of this work came together to build a generalized system of determining what drivers can use what roads at what time. And what we did was, while we solved the problem for Jakarta, because Manila also had a similar version of the rules, we were able to solve it there as well. But furthermore, the same capability allows us to do things like follow rules like a motorcycle and a motorcycle taxi cannot go on an expressway. So when routing that driver, we need to make sure that we're taking into account the fact that are they traversing or do they have to traverse an expressway or not? And if they have to, we can't allocate them. Why do we take this approach? Essentially, what we believe here is that instead of solving for a single issue, we should solve for a class of problems. This helps us build a scalable platform where the same solution can be replicated across markets. But we're making it configurable, so it allows us to have a lower cost base later on, because from the start we've made that fixed investment. And secondly, it allows us faster time to market. Once we solve the problem in one place, we can very quickly solve it elsewhere. The second case study of our hyperlocal solution that I want to talk to you about is our Grab Maps journey. We started this journey back in 2017 when we realized conventional map providers weren't hyperlocal enough for our needs. For 3 reasons. One, compared to the rest of the developed world, Southeast Asia isn't as well mapped. And this is especially true in modalities. You see, a lot of maps are made for 4-wheel vehicles, right? Roads that they can traverse. The challenge is, in Southeast Asia, there are a lot of back alleys and small roads that a car could never go down, but a bicycle or a motorbike could use. And those are the routes used by our motorcycle taxis and our delivery riders. So we needed mapping of those areas as well. Secondly, there was incomplete coverage. You go to a capital city like Jakarta and Manila, you have a decent map. You go to a tier 2, tier 3 city like Semarang or Bandung, right? You won't get any map coverage there. We needed mapping for those areas because our customers are there. Secondly, we needed a rich database of places of interest or points of interest. These mapping providers had limited fidelity and granularity. You don't just need to know that you're at an airport with Grab. You need to know that you're in the arrival hall on the level with exit 5, because that's where the driver is going to come and meet you. And finally, given how quickly Southeast Asia changes, we very quickly found these maps were outdated and obsolete. So what did we do? Here's a video that explains it.
The life of a driver is a scatter of positive influences on the other people around them. How can we broaden that impact? The Geo Crowdsourcing Initiative aims to create new ways for drivers to become a contributor in the making of our map, ensuring a better experience for everyone on Grab. Through imagery collection, drivers help fill the missing pieces in our model of the real world. Every road, every path, every turn contributes to a deeper understanding of the reality around us. By collecting places, they help give meaning to our maps. How does the place look like? What's its name? How can we get there? They also verify information submitted by fellow drivers and act as gatekeepers to the accuracy of our map data, allowing us to find the places we want to go to when we need them. Road conditions can change rapidly every second. By giving real-time map feedback, drivers act as our eyes and ears on the road so that we can make better decisions, change course, and continue to outserve our customers. By leveraging our drivers' unparalleled mastery of the roads, everyone benefits. From the drivers for whom community support is such an important lifeline, the busy passengers who need to get to places on time, to the merchants who want their businesses to be discovered. What we want to build is a community, a thriving ecosystem that recognizes and rewards all. Let's map our world together. Grab Maps, for you, by you.
So just a few weeks ago, we formally announced the launch of Grab Maps. And there are two critical parts here. Firstly, 7 out of our 8 markets are fully powered by Grab Maps already. So we're independent and self-sufficient there. And we're aiming to hit 8 out of 8 by the end of next quarter. We're also monetizing the same capabilities as an enterprise offering, allowing us to tap into a $1 billion opportunity in the region. We are confident that if our platform can power the largest ride-hailing and deliveries platform in the region, other companies can benefit from the same tech. And we're not just restricting ourselves to working with Southeast Asia. We're going global with our Maps technology. We expect companies across the world can benefit from the technologies we've built in order to map out Southeast Asia. Maps power everything in our Superapp. We have 800 billion API calls a month to our mapping services that are used from everything from search to allocation to routing to ETA calculation. Our mapping service is a strong example of how our local tech can be scaled and globalized. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that we have a team here, right here in Cluj, who's actually working on building this, alongside teams in Singapore and China. Romania has been part of bringing the maps to life for the last few years, and we have a team here that specializes in geographical information systems, so they curate the maps, and secondly, teams that build machine learning, big data processing, image handling, and database management. If any of you are interested in this, you can come and look at our careers page or talk to Philip and myself. Finally, let me talk about the third pillar of our tech philosophy. We believe the best solutions come when you, our engineers, data scientists, product managers, and designers have a deep understanding of the problems they want to solve and who they want to solve it for. And we believe the best way for them to do this is to go to the ground and viscerally experience what our customers do, their pain, but also their high points. These pictures are from a recent Maps immersion that our Geo team did in Jakarta. Some of our employees from Cluj actually were there as well in this photo. Going on the ground means that we improve our understanding of the challenges our customers face, and we get feedback and insights that are often not apparent in data or second-hand information. So we encourage every Grabber. We see it as a core responsibility of being an engineer or a technologist at Grab to go to the ground, get insights, share feedback, and suggest ways to improve. This is a Grab-wide principle, and it's part of what we call the Grab way. So that's it from me. To wrap up, I hope you've gotten to know us a bit better and learned a few things in the process of how we get things done. But the takeaways that I'd like you all to have is, firstly, Southeast Asia is brimming with possibilities. Secondly, we use our Superapp strategy as a differentiator to better serve our drivers, merchants, and consumers. And finally, our tech philosophy is crucial to helping us develop the right solution, informed by a relentless focus on hyperlocal insights from the ground. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Suthen.